Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Goblins have started off a little too close for comfort for these Beastmen as two Vanguard armies face off. We have Rubber Duck of War on the Beastmen and Slate X on the Greenskins, as both sides, with pretty much full Vanguard, going to be starting right on top of one another. As for the Beastmen, it is going to be Gore Herds for that front line. We have a few of those, but otherwise it's going to be a pretty small Beastmen army, as they do have two Gore Bulls, the Butchers of Kalkengard and Malagor. The Dark Omen Malagor is going to be having quite a few spells. He does have Viletide. He has Savage Domination, the Mantle of Gorok, as well as his Icons of Vilification. Bestial Surge, he has Unholy Power, Something Wicked Comes This Way, and Arcane Conduit. But the battle is already off and started already, as the Night Goblin archers, though, quickly getting jumped on by the Gore Herd, though, as they don't, instead of retreating, they're going to be jumping right into the fray, getting on top of those units. And then for the rest of the Beastmen, though, we do have some stuff in the four Sons of Gorok. We have the Chaos Warhounds with Poison and the Centaurs with Great Weapons on one side. We have some more Chaos Warhounds with Poison off in the tree line over here. And for the Gobbo army, which is a nice full 20 stack, it is going to be Night Goblins, Nasty Skulkers for that front line, and then is going to be some Night Goblin archers. We have Morgul's Mangy Marauders. It is going to be Skarsnik, going to be bringing Fermented Fungi and Spite of the Bad Moon. And we have Night Goblin Shaman, going to be bringing Vindictive Glare, Curse of the Bad Moon, and Itchy Nuisance with Wand of Jet. And otherwise, we do have a few Night Goblin Squig Hoppers on both flanks. But that is going to be the armies, and that is going to be all for that. And let's get right on into it, as the army's already engaging across all fronts. The rear charges already coming in from the Centaurs on both sides, with the Chaos Warhounds with Poison quickly going to be breaking down this one flank here for the Gobbos. Night Goblins are all just going to be shattering, but there is going to be a nasty little spell here going to be breaking those Chaos Warhounds with Poison very, very quickly. As away they go. It was a Viletide, kind of doing a little bit of friendly fire there, but it will be catching off the Rusty Arrows as well. And there is those Fanatics going to be spinning their way right on down the line. Sons of Gorok, though, going to be, or Goros, going to be actually going to be getting out of that pretty quickly. And the Butchers of Kalkengard normally going to be lagging behind the Beastmen army, since they don't have Vanguard themselves. Going to be able to get right on into things, as the Gobbos have been so kind to get right on into things. Going to be deploying very, very close, but another Viletide doing a ton of damage to these Night Goblins. Viletide is going to be very, very helpful so far for this matchup, as both of the Gore Bulls going to be wading in. They pretty much have all of their items here, so they do have their Immunopsychology item when in melee. They have their item which can give Terror as well for a short duration, and otherwise the battle is going to be going on in earnest, as the Goblins have been able to at least form up on one of their flanks here, allowing their Night Goblin archers to kind of start firing in, while already going off right now. And Curse of the Bad Moon going to be going on top of this Gore Herd, as Skarsnik is getting a little bogged down here, but he's going to be just fine where he is. And the only thing here is the Beastmen have a very small army. They don't have a whole lot of frontline. They have some Gore Herd. Malagor already has been taking quite a bit of damage, but the Butchers of Kalkengard and both of the Gore Bulls are going to be able to provide a ton of stopping power for this army. Not a whole lot that the Gobbos have can really bring them down effectively. They do have the Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, which can have some nice armor piercing against the Butchers of Kalkengard. But they also do have some of the Nasty Skulkers, and it's going to have to be a lot of focus fire to really bring them down. Though Malagor has taken quite a bit of damage. I think those might be just from the overcast on those Viletide, because he hasn't really been engaged with melee too much, as Skarsnik trying to kind of come in, but he's getting right into some dangerous ground here, as we do have the Butchers of Kalkengard right in the mix. We do have a Fermented Fungi is going to be going down on top of, I believe this is one of the Gore Bulls here, going to be rampaging him, reducing his melee defense, and just taking a ton of damage from all of these archers, as a Savage Dominion does go off, getting that Cygor is kind of chasing this Night Goblin Shaman. But yeah, all this focus fire from all these archers is really putting a beating on the Beastmen here. Just a ton of shots just raining in on the Gore Bull and the Butchers of Kalkengard, and just the sheer volume of archer fire into these units is just slowly whittling them down bit by bit. Skarsnik is going to be getting a little low. He actually does get terrified with the Butchers of Kalkengard here, because they do cause terror themselves, and I believe they do have a regen to boot. They do, so they are quite the fearsome foe indeed. And with Scarstick going to be going gone, it's going to provide the Beastmen with a little bit of an edge back into the fight. And I know the balance power is kind of inflated with that Cygor summon, which is about to be going pretty soon here. And if Balgor can get another summon off into this backline, it could really shut down these archers for the time being and potentially allow the Butchers of Kalkengard to regen quite a bit, because they still have 9 models left. They haven't really lost all too many, and Scarstick is going to be getting escorted off the field. But just the sheer volume of fires, there's just not enough units for the Beastmen to really shut things down. Their initial jump with their mobility kind of got punished pretty heavily. There was a little bit of friendly fire from the Vile Tides. And with one of the Gorbolds gone, I think the other one is gone as well. They don't have a whole lot available other than the Cygor summon to really contend these Night Goblin archers. And the Beastmen pretty much content just kind of chasing Skarsnik off the field here, doing as much damage as you can, allowing these Butchers to kind of get their heal up and potentially get some enough Winds of Magic for another Cygor summon to kind of potentially fire away at these Night Goblins from range. Because if these Butchers of Kalkengard are able to kind of regen as much as they can, it is just Night Goblins. There is the nasty Skulkers who can probably bring them down, but yeah, things not looking so great for the Beastmen. That initial Vanguard from the Gobbo is providing quite the surprise indeed, and not really giving them the breathing space to really form up, as everything was pretty much engaging right off the bat. But the battle is not over just yet. Balance power is actually creeping back towards even. It was pretty much heavily favored for the Greenskins, but it is pretty much just going to be an archer line trying to clean things up as the Centaur is just chasing down whatever they can with what mobility they have left. The Night Goblin's Quick Hopper is getting quite low. There is just a few very beaten down units of Goreherd, as the Gobbos will charge forward to meet them in battle, as the Butchers of Kalkengard wisely staying in the forest here. We do have another Vile Tide doing a ton of damage on a couple of grouped up Night Goblins, and it might just be enough. It is enough to rout one of them, and will the other one rout? It looks like they are going to stabilize, but with the Goreherd pushing through that unit, it might be enough to break them off the bat there, as now the Butchers do charge on in. These units of Night Goblins get terrified off the charge, and those Butchers can be going right on into the back line, getting on those Night Goblin archers, and it's just the Rusty Arrows left, who do have their nice armor sundering, so can really lower those Butchers of Kalkengard armor, allow the Night Goblins to actually be able to do some decent damage there, and they're just going to plow right on forward. A Fanatics does try and go off, and another Vile Tide goes into the middle of these Night Goblin Quick Hoppers. They'll be able to tank that a little bit better, but man, those Butchers of Kalkengard are getting so very low, but they still have 7 models left. But they are starting to waver, and with the charge from the Night Goblin Quick Hoppers, that might just be enough to break their resolve and cause them to rout, now down to just 3 models. So even with regen, that isn't going to be able to heal all too much when it is just those down to 2. It looks like they are going to be succumbing. Balance power actually going back a little bit towards the Beastman favorite, as Malagor is able to shatter that Night Goblin Shaman, and now the balance of power is actually in the Beastman favor for the first time in a very long time in this matchup. The Rusty Arrows are able to finish off the last of the Butchers of Kalkengard, but they stand alone now, as pretty much the rest of their army has routed. These Night Goblins have returned to the field, but it's not going to be enough to save the Rusty Arrows, as we do have a charge in from the Morgub's Magi Marauders trying to break the Goreherd, as they get a nice charge in. More archers, though, are returning on the flanks here, and with those units returning, they still have a nice bit of ammo to use to fire in, and it's going to be Malagor versus the world now. Looks like we do have, no, it is just Malagor left, trying to stem the tide of the Greenskins, but he is going to be wavering himself, and I think the archer fire from all the Night Goblin archers are going to be able to finish him off, and that is going to be our match. A very quick one, but little swings in that balance of power. Beastmen almost were able to kind of claw their way back, but in the end, they were just not quite able to do so. So take a little look at the after battle report. So we've got to look at the army a little more in detail, because we had to quickly go over that in the beginning here. Just a ton of Night Goblins on both sides, and the Night Goblins on the Greenskins were all Fanatics in that front line, so they had a ton of loons with the 8-peak loonies as well, so just a ton of chaff clearing power. So pretty much all of the Beastmen didn't really have much of a chance in being able to really push them back. and the mobility quickly getting compromised. They were able to get quite a few kills, but yeah, they just got a little too beaten down early on, and had the Warhounds with poison been able to be a little bit more cautious, I know they wanted to quickly jump on the backs of all of those goblins, but it had they been a little bit more conservative with the 2 Warhounds, it could have chased off all those units and made sure that those archers didn't come back in the end. Otherwise, it was a very fun match regardless. The full Vanguard on both sides, being right up in each other's faces as soon as the bell rang, and yeah, it was off to the races, and the Greenskins did come out on top in that crazy matchup. Very quick nonetheless, but I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.